What's going on, everybody? Today, as you saw in the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about all the things I know about ADHD so far as someone who was diagnosed with it in 2023. As a backstory, as I just said, I was diagnosed with ADHD on December 23rd, 2023. How do I remember that date? Well, I remember texting one of my best friends at the time after my diagnosis appointment while I was in a drive-thru for Chick-fil-A, and literally looking back on the text, I see it's like December 23rd, 2023. I don't know how that's relevant, but I think it's because it's 2323. I don't know. Anyway, ever since that day, I've been using what I know about ADHD to advocate for myself and really put it into people's minds that ADHDers aren't stupid or lazy. We're just seeing and experiencing the world differently through a neurodivergent lens. One of the major things that I contributed to ADHD advocacy for myself and others at my K-12 liberal arts school is through my senior thesis, the basis of which was that without ADHD, the world would still be in Neanderthal times. In other words, our brain's neurochemistry is the reason that humans were able to evolve into farmers from hunter-gatherers. Also, one quick note before we get started, I'm still learning so much about ADHD and the neurochemistry, mannerisms, etc. that go into an ADHDer's life. And that will definitely be explored a lot more as I journey through college. So there might be an updated video of this sometime in the very, very, very distant future. Now, let's get into it. First off, comment down below if you know about a little something called flow state. Hyperfocus is just that, flow state, but for ADHDers. It also is harder for us to get out of hyperfocus and requires someone to basically jump scare us out of it. Or at least that's my experience. Cue possible clip of my brother jump scaring me out of hyperfocus. But okay, for those who don't know what flow state is, it's basically where you lock in the work based on many things in your environment that your brain has attributed to focus. And now, when one, many, or all of those things happen or are in a specific place, your brain goes into focus mode. Same goes with ADHD, except you literally focus on the most random tasks ever because there's random things in random places. Like, you focus on folding laundry when your clothes are in this specific basket or something, I don't know. Or being productive when not doing any form of work/schoolwork for us students. Another small downside to having the ability of hyperfocus is that you can go a really long time focusing and forget to take care of yourself by not doing basic human functions like feeding yourself or grooming yourself or going to the bathroom. Oh, that's happened so many times. I randomly will be like, oh, I even drank any water for the last 2 hours. Number 2, hyperfixation. This is the same thing as hyperfocus, but you are instead focused on a topic or event for a long period of time, and it can happen for days, weeks, even months, sometimes years. While hyperfocus is condensed into a couple hours. For example, some of my current hyperfixations are Freya Sky, Descendants, and Zombies as a whole, college prep, YouTube content, hybrid athlete training, and being protected by using my ADHD brain for me instead of against me. And believe me, my ADHD brain works against me 99% of the time. And I'm just like, work with me, please. And it's like, no, I want to sit and play video games or watch YouTube for no apparent reason. I'm just like, come on, man, we gotta be productive. It's summer, I know. Trait number 3, time blindness. This trait isn't really as big as the other ones that I'm going to mention during this video, but it is a result of both hyperfocus and hyperfixation. The basic principle behind time blindness is that ADHDers can't perceive the passage of time in the same way that neurotypicals can. This means that when we're bored, 5 minutes feels like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or even an hour. The opposite is true when you're locked in hyperfocusing. An hour feels like 5 minutes. And yes, that's the reason why people with ADHD are always late to literally everything. It's a constant annoyance in my life. Number 4, rejection-sensitive dysphoria, or as I called it for the longest time, rejection sensitivity disorder. That made more sense in my head, and also when I talked about it, I was just like, this makes more sense than rejection-sensitive dysphoria. I'm going to refer to this as RSD, so as not to say this condition so many times that I mess up pronouncing it, because dysphoria is really hard to say when you've said it like 15 times. Basically, RSD is the ever-present mindset that your interactions with people have to be perfect, and that you have to watch what you say with literally everyone, but especially people you just met or people who you want to impress, even though you've known them for a very long time. The problem is, this dysphoria only hits after you do or say something inappropriate for the situation and something not premeditated, etc. The worst part of RSD, you think about only the things you messed up in those conversations and situations, and if you're not careful, those things can become bad hyperfixations that hopefully you can get over. From personal experience, I still think about really idiotic things that I did as an 8 or 10-year-old, while the people I did them to didn't even remember that they happened, which, that's not bad. I can definitely say that RSD is one of the downsides of ADHD. Number 5, emotional dysregulation. This is probably one of the most well-known symptoms of ADHD. The neuroscience behind this is that the prefrontal cortex, the front of your brain, is underused, or sometimes people say underdeveloped, in ADHDers. The prefrontal cortex is where all the decision-making and emotional reactions are thought of. So if it is underused or underdeveloped, that means that ADHDers are not really trained at handling their emotions and instinctual behaviors. And yes, that is why we act like animals, because our instinct is like, ooh, I'm still a Neanderthal. I need to act like an animal. And then you act like a dog for 2 hours, and then your neighbors are like, why is your kid acting like a dog when they're supposed to be 14? And yeah. Because our prefrontal cortex is underused or probably underdeveloped, this means that our emotional maturity is 2 to 3 years behind our actual age, while we're able to conceptualize things that people 2 to 3 years older than us are able to master. That concept came from when I was first diagnosed with ADHD, and the example I was given at that time was that I had the emotional maturity of a 7th or 8th grader as a sophomore in high school, and then I was able to conceptualize content suited for a senior in high school or even a freshman in college. This is why ADHDers have little to no social filter unless we work on it constantly, and also constantly have to go through brutal trial and error periods where we have to figure out what's socially inappropriate to say, what's socially appropriate to say, and not to say the socially inappropriate things. Number 6, dopamine. Now, we all know what dopamine is, right? It's basically one of the pleasure chemicals. Well, the brains of neurodivergents deal with dopamine differently than neurotypical brains. The reason is that the dopamine baseline for an ADHD is significantly higher than neurotypicals or other people's. This is why we are so enamored with novelty things like little kids' toys, like that my 2-year-old cousin got like a barn or something for Christmas. I was like, I want to play with that. I don't care. I'm almost 18. I want to play with that thing. It's made for a 2-year-old. This also means that we need more dopamine to act like a regular human being, but that also means it's really easy for us to go over our baseline and become overstimulated. This also happens to be the reason why crash outs, whether induced by caffeine, overstimulation, sugar, or literally anything else, hit us harder than the common neurotypical. This is because the dopamine spike induced by all of these things is multiplied since we have less dopamine receptors in our brain. And so our brain is like my English lab with no fullness indicator, like she literally cannot feel that she is full of food. So she just fills up on she just eats eats, barfs, then sometimes it's bad. And it's the same case with ADHD brains. We just fill up on dopamine until we become overstimulated, and even then, we still fill up on dopamine even after overstimulation occurs, and we just had the meltdown, and then let's go watch YouTube Shorts for 3 hours. I don't know. I don't really care if I had a caffeine meltdown 2 seconds ago. Let's go watch YouTube Shorts. Also, we love to put low dopamine tasks out of our minds and then out of our ways as a result of them being out of our minds. Low dopamine tasks are basically any task in which we get a little amount of dopamine or just no dopamine at all from doing said task. These include things like basic hygiene tasks like brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, even showering. That makes sense now. This also includes homework, which this is why we turn everything in late because we don't have the dopamine to do it and motivation to do it. And also, this includes that paperwork you need to fill out. I know you have paperwork to fill out in some way, shape, or form. I also have paperwork to fill out. And so, number 7, medication. One of the ways that people can conquer, or in some cases control, their ADHD is through medication. Though this could possibly lead to being a drug addict or alcoholic in the future. Before I say anything else about medication, let me just say, this is my personal experience. You don't have to take, if you have ADHD and are not taking medication, it's not a sign to take it. I'm just saying what my experience is of taking medication for ADHD. And if you really want to take it, please, I beg of you, ask your doctor if you should. Because if you do it just because I do it, that could make your ADHD worse and could lead to other problems down the road, like you getting addicted to it because you didn't even need to take it in the first place because your ADHD was so under control that you were just like, I need to take this because someone on the internet said I need to take this. Don't do that. Please ask your doctor about it. Anyway, this is my current ADHD medication stuff going on. I'm currently on 27 milligrams of Concerta, which is the second dose from the baby dose, and then it's the second one is the one I'm on. And then 10 milligrams or something like that. It's at least 10. It's not more than 15. I think it's now. You may be thinking to yourself, why is she taking 2 different types of ADHD medications? Good question. I'm not taking them at the same time, first of all. Second of all, the Concerta is the one I should be taking every day, and sometimes I forget to do it, and it wears it off around 4 to 5 p.m. So if I need extra focus time, or need to get work done, or just need to be socially appropriate for, 2-3 more hours, I just take the Ritalin, which acts as a booster for my Concerta. And since I know the side effects of Concerta and Ritalin, since I've been taking them for so long, I am also good to take them if I know I have to be on my best behavior socially or anything that day. One example was graduation. I knew the emotions would be very emotional that day, and so I remember specifically on that day especially to take my Ritalin since it only lasted thankfully for the amount of time that the graduation and then the following festivities were happening. Therefore, I didn't make a huge fool of myself at graduation. Yes, I did cry. Yes, I commented on some of the things my friend said in her salutatorian speech. But the thing is, I didn't make a huge fool of myself. Number 8, ADHD paralysis. This is the reason that people say that ADHDers are lazy, because of ADHD paralysis, which sadly most neurotypicals have no idea exists. The basic premise of this paralysis is that when you are burnt out or have no dopamine in your system at all whatsoever, you want to do something productive. The problem is it is physically impossible, and I mean physically impossible, to get yourself out of the little rut you are in on your couch or bed. This is where the perceived laziness comes in. People will look at you, unable to get up from the couch or your bed, and just write it off as laziness, but in reality, you are in such a dopamine deficit that you can't do any simple task, let alone be productive. This is especially true after you scroll and receive cheap dopamine from your phone that goes away immediately because you're just eating up that dopamine. The mental side of this is that self-deprecating thoughts sadly happen to pop up in your head while you're in this state of paralysis. Things like, get up and be productive, you stupid dummy. And you are so worthless, you can't even get up to do one simple thing. This is obviously not the best thing. Scratch that. This is the worst thing ever possible to happen in this state. But the problem is you just have to wait for the paralysis to stop or do the extremely hard thing in this situation and get up after having yourself up for literally 20 minutes to do literally one singular task. Yes, it takes that long and even longer when the paralysis hits really hard that day. In conclusion, ADHD has a lot of cool things that come with it, but it can also be extremely exhausting to handle the not so cool things that come with this life-altering mental and psychological struggle. I hope to update this video in the very near future, if not the very distant future, and I hope you learned something valuable today. Don't forget, if you like this video, like, comment, and if you aren't out of your hype points thingies, like you only get 3 of them a week and they always restart on Monday, those things, hype this video as well. Also, comment below what you would like to see from me next. With that, thanks for watching. My name is Karen, and let's make each day a little less boring. Peace!